Greetings, James here with attempt number 5 at this video. What with one thing or another, live feeds being cut, phones crashing, and then having to re-upload passwords and all the other things you have to go through. But hey, still smiling. Not going to be beaten down by this, no matter what they throw at me. And what can they do, really? I'm obviously starting to make waves with things I'm saying, and of course the thing is I'm not the only one saying it. I'm one of many people saying the same thing about what is going on in this world. I'm going to put out what is coming in 15 days' time. Now remember that everything we are told is a half truth and a half lie, and that seems to be everything, even the history or his story that we are told. Books seem to have been rewritten, but I don't want to dwell on down specific rabbit holes, because the devil really is in the detail, and you can go down any number of these conspiracy theories and you don't actually get any closer to the truth. All you really need to do is see the bigger overall picture and see that there is a control system in place, and as far as we're concerned in this three-dimensional world, it is basically a case of the corrupt protecting themselves behind these laws and enslaving the rest of us. Because I'll give you two examples in the last couple of days. A woman who at the time was 14 was raped, and Rotherham City Council have backed the side of the rapist and saying that she has to allow access to this child for this rapist, who it's not the only rape case that this particular individual has done. And this poor woman now has to go through this horror of every time there is forms to be filled in of reliving that awful event. She gave birth at the age of 15. I really, I don't know what it must be like for a woman to actually to have to give birth and have a bond with a baby when they have been the victim of a rape. That must be, well, it's something I don't think any man can understand. But all I can do is offer sympathy, and it just highlights that we have a very real problem. Not only that, you have the likes of Boris Johnson, who accidentally forgets to declare £52,000 of income, which is more than most households actually have for an entire year. Not just 52,000 as part of an even bigger income. And what does he do? He says sorry, and he's forgotten. Now imagine the likes of you or I in a court to say, oh sorry, I forgot to declare it. You can imagine how the outcome would be very different. But that is the way the world works. It is corrupt, and the corrupt are making the laws and enslaving the rest of us. But 15 days time things change completely. It is an apocalypse. Now a lot of you will understand the word apocalypse to mean some disaster, some worldwide flood or earthquakes. Well, let's just actually break that word down into what it is. It's an epoch collapse. All it means is it is the end of an era. When you start seeing things in terms of sacred geometry and understanding that everything comes out of nothing from an original source, so everything from a grain of sand upwards to a tree, to a human being, to any life form on this planet, and we are all fractalized part of this original creation, it is quite easy to understand why, shall we say, God is all-knowing and all-seeing, because there is a part of this original creator in all of us. So I'm also going to suggest here that what is going to happen in 15 days' time is what I have said before, but not in the alarming sense that people think it is. When I say I am dying, think in terms of when you reset your laptop. There is that point where things seem to switch off and nothing happens, and all of a sudden that laptop or mobile phone, whatever electronic device, it seems to fire back up again and comes back to life. Is that not a resurrection of sorts in electrical goods? Well, what about us as being energy? Now, within this sacred geometry, there is the thought of 144,000. So I'm not suggesting that it is any one of us. Why would it be? If we are all fractalized parts of an original creation, then it would be prudent for original creation to not invest all that into a sole being, but would invest that amongst many. And I am suggesting 144,000 of us are going to go into a state where we go to sleep. We will appear to be dead for 3 days, and then all these DNA will be switched on, and you will then have 360 senses. It will only come to those that are benevolent and not self-serving, because that power, I mean, what are these 360 senses? What exactly are the capabilities? Infinite possibility is there. If you really wanted to, I'm sure you could manifest $1 million in your hand quite easily just from thought, and maybe from vocalizing it as a sound vibration. But that's not what this is about. This is about saving all of life on this planet. I, for one, can feel it when I go out in that garden. I have seen flowers in bloom at the wrong time of year. It is as if all of creation is turning to humanity and saying, we need your help. This is our chance to actually realise our potential. I mean, let's face it, there are two main questions that I think every human wants to know the answer to. Where have we come and where are we going? And I think this answers it, because we realise our potential. We become up there, as it were, with original source. We become part of that original source again. This so-called junk DNA is reactivated through these spiritual downloads. These 3 days of appearing in this innate state allows this process to happen, and I would not be at all surprised if some of you are going to be appearing glowing or golden, just like these depictions of angels, because that is what you are. You are the sons of God. It does not mean you are all male. Some of you are going to be in a female form. That is irrelevant. The important thing is there are going to be 144,000 of us. The dark side are basically running scared now. The things that they're trying to get away with openly, because they know they're running out of time and they cannot change this. All this thing with this chemtrails, that is just history repeating itself. That is trying to repair an atmosphere, at most fear. And they are the ones at most fear because they have more to lose than the rest of us. And what can darkness do to me? Yeah, it can take away this physical body, but it does not destroy me as an energy source. That will just free me out of this source, and it's a win-win situation, whatever, because whether I'm taken out or not is irrelevant. This is not about me. This is about every life on this planet. When you look at what goes on in all these conflict situations, these dreadful fires in California, where people's bodies are just charred remains, I've seen the genuine footage from people's mobiles and cell phones showing this, and you can clearly see a young toddler in a car seat that is just a burnt out piece of ash. But it's far more than that. What about all the insects, all the plants, all the animals, all the innocent life forms that didn't ask for any of this to be burnt alive? There's one that's doing the rounds of I think it's a rattlesnake, and it's done that one last sort of bite at the flames in an act of defiance because there's nothing else it can do. I mean, I cannot think of anything more horrendous than being burnt to death. It's bad enough if you just, like if I burn my hand on the end of a cigarette, never mind being burnt alive. I would not wish that on anybody, even the dark side. I honestly say I would not wish that. They have sealed their own fate. That is not for us to deal with. In terms of fighting the darkness, we are not fighting on the terms of darkness. It will be reflection. This is why they talk about the bringer of light, the illuminated being, because you will reflect back. So he who cast the first stone, it will come back on them, not on us. We are here to protect the life of this planet. That is our soul purpose, you could say. Again, the words have more than one meaning. Yeah, I'm a smoker, but when you come from a serpent background, we're fire breathers, so it's not actually going to hurt me. And that's not what's important. What's important is the future for all of us. I do not see this three-dimensional world as separate. If everything else is connected, then why would the 3D world be separate? It is all part of it. Even the dark side. If original source is the creator of everything and is perfect and does not make mistakes, then that must also be part of the plan. But there's obviously been things that have been put in place that are causing a problem. I said before that the dark side, if you think of it in terms of Dracula, whether it be a vampire in the form of energy or just sucking on you financially, well, it doesn't matter how it's done. The fact it is vampirism in one form or another. But remember that Dracula is only the prince of darkness. Now, I think this is what is described as the Anunnaki Enlil, the Lord of the Sky. He has set himself up as a false god, but he is a victim of his own ego. I don't think he is necessarily evil. He has allowed ego to let darkness come in. The real darkness and the driving force behind this is the demiurge and the archons, which in modern day translates to icon, because remember, words have more than one meaning, and it is determined by these vowels. The vowels are foul. Now, I would seriously recommend you listen to Matt Burrell on Facebook. That's spelt MATBURRILL. He will show you the sacred geometry, and it will become clear how everything comes from nothing, and nothing is everything. We're doing this cycle of 0 to 9 in repeating over and over and over, and this is why we need to get to the innate state, so we achieve immortality. It is very possible to do. It doesn't mean necessarily in a physical form. I mean, who wants to be 900 years old and decrepit and in a wheelchair with no quality of life? There's going to be no fun in that. But as a soul, we are infinite beings, and we are infinite consciousness, and we have the chance and ability to do this if we allow ourselves to do it. That is very important. So yes, I think this is just the darkness twist on the truth again, saying there is one Son of God. I don't think there is one Son of God. I think there are 144,000 of us. Whether I am one of that, I do not know. It's just what I have foreseen and what I feel and what I sense. I can actually prove this because, unlike the hidden hand, I am open. I don't know how clear this is going to actually show, but if you look at the left palm, remember that left behind, that shows your past. You'll notice there are two lines that cross, because I am a walk-in. The human shell you see is not the person I've always been. There has been a caretaker soul looking after this body, because the world is a stage, and I always seem to get the Gandalf parts. But hey, I'm typecast. It's just an acting career after all. It's just I don't have the strings like on the NASA puppets or the presidential puppets or the politicians. There are no strings, not even NASA invisible ones. Whereas the right palm, that is the right path. Now if you look, if we can get this on there, you'll see there are two parallel lines that do not cross, because the right path is the one you take. The other one is left behind because it shows your past. And I'm watching the palms of my hands change. I do not fully understand palmistry. I'm not an expert in it, but there is a sort of knowing that comes through with this spiritual awakening as well. And I know from some of you I've talk to, and I'm not going to mention you by name because I do not want the attention going on you and any of you to come to any harm. All I would ask is if I suddenly vanish that you will just carry this on, because it's only 2 weeks to go basically. We're almost, yes, we're at midnight now, so make that 14 days to go. Excellent. Celebration coffee will be required soon, I think. So it's going to be a fantastic 2 weeks ahead. It's not going to be doom and gloom at all. It's actually going to be a very good event. It's going to be the start of a new era. This is the chance for humanity to realise itself, if people do realise and use real eyes. Because as I've said before, you are your own church. You have two temples. Between those two temples you have an all-seeing eye, your third eye. Again, darkness has twisted this into something malevolent, but the truth of it is quite the opposite, same as everything, because darkness will twist and tell you half-truths and half-lies, because the last thing any predator wants is to be discovered. It's as simple as that. Thank you very much.